which is Hannah Bardell for the SNP.
And it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and huge credit firstly to Mary Lyon and all of the campaigners from the Primados group. I have gotten to know them very well in the last 4 years since I was elected in 2015, and I have rarely met a more tireless and dedicated group. And the same goes for the Honourable Lady for Bolton South East. She has, and with her staff, run the all-party parliamentary group with incredible veracity and determination, and it's a pleasure to be part of that. Credit also to Jason Farrell of Sky, who recently did the documentary on the impacts of Primados, and that shines a light where no one else, frankly, has gone. And I have campaigned for my constituent Wilma Ord and her daughter Kirstine, who was born deaf and with cerebral palsy. Like so many women, as has been mentioned by many members, believing that the deformities her child was born with were her own fault. And let's call this out for what it is, as the Right Honourable Member for Kingston and Surbiton just said, a criminal cover-up. This was 1.5 million women treated as human guinea pigs for the pursuit of profit by the company Shearing, now Bear. And I hope that they are listening today. And I know that the Minister is listening and the Government is listening. But there is very clearly consensus, like I don't think many of us will have seen across the House on this issue. We are not going away. The campaigners are not going away. This issue is not going away. And until I am no longer elected the Member of Parliament for Livingston, I will campaign on this issue and I will pursue this issue, as I know everybody in this chamber, everybody in the... Yeah, happy to give way.
Giving way. I'm also very pleased this debate's happening, but I'm really sad and frustrated to be here, because I reread my speech from what was October 2016 when we first had this debate. I think everyone here was present at that debate, and I have two constituents affected. Most of the speeches that day, whilst very articulately talking about those cases, we're basically just asking for a process to find answers. And here we are nearly 3 years later. I think we have less answers. I think most of us are more suspicious. I think most of us are more angry. And on that basis alone, this can't be the end of it. And I thoroughly agree with the comments he's just made.
I thank the Honourable Gentleman for his intervention. And I absolutely agree. And I share his despair and his sadness that, you know, so many years on from the all-party parliamentary group being set up, a process that the government has put public money into, that medical experts have taken part in. And let's be clear, as I said in my previous contributions, we are not necessarily criticising the people that were on that expert working group. They are medical professionals. But they have also themselves fallen victim to a process that was at best opaque, at worst corrupt. And the influence of those companies, and who knows why we ended up in the mess we were in. The member for Bolton South East and I went on the day that the report was due to be published to what was supposed to be, we thought, a public event where at the very least members of Parliament could get in. We were stopped at the door of that publication. The press, some of the press were allowed in. We were not allowed in. We know that there was due to be a press conference. There was due to be a public event. Those were both cancelled. Members have spoken passionately about the concerns, the lack of independence, the lack of impartiality, the gagging clause that Marie Lyon had to sign, the heavy-handed nature. Now, I think, at best, this has caused quite serious concerns, I'm sure, amongst those in the medical community who might in the future be invited to be part of government working groups. And what does that say to those medical professionals if they are being, let me just finish this point and I'll give way, if they're being asked to be part of a working group that's supposed to be open and transparent and get to the truth of an issue, but it turns out being a cover-up and their credibility is called into question, I think that is a very, very dangerous situation. And that's why not only does the wider issue need to be looked at, but the mess that the expert working group became needs to be looked at so that medical professionals in the future can have confidence and families and our constituents can have confidence. And I'm happy to give way to the gentleman.
For giving way, and she's pointing out very precisely the contextual things that we need to learn from this. But does she agree with me that there seems to be an element of Jekyll and Hyde in the way in which the government has taken this process forward over the last 3 years. On the one hand, and to be positive, and I know the Baroness Cumberledge, I've served on another all-party group with her, and I have confidence that she and her team are moving in the right sort of direction. But when you go back to the statement that the Secretary of State made in February 2018 on this area, everything was in that statement was about doing things for the future, recommending the expert working group, offering the families a full and up-to-date genetic clinical evaluation, better training and support for obstetrician. These are all good things, but they're not addressing the 40 years they're not addressing an apology, they're not addressing any sense of regret, they're not addressing those issues which have been discussed here today. So would it not be a good idea for the Minister to go back to the Secretary of State and to say that this statement that was made in 2018 now needs to go back to those contexts and take them forward to the decisions that have to be made, and that people will not put up with just having a broad range of recommendations? These need to get to the heart of the matter.
Absolutely correct. How many times do the families and victims of Primados have to have their hopes built up and then completely dashed? Is it not bad enough that they have gone through the trauma and the blame and having their children having to live with deformities and disabilities, as my honourable friend for Argyll and Bute so precisely and devastatingly highlighted his constituent has to live with, to then have their hopes built up that there's going to be a review, and then the review is a whitewash. Like, it gives no confidence in a time when, let's be honest, confidence in politicians and political process is not particularly good. We have an opportunity to do something good, to do something well, and to do it properly. And I have to say, you know, my own exchanges with the MHRA and the expert working group have not been good. I mean, I wrote directly to the chair of the expert working group about some of the feelings and some of the concerns. I have to say, you know, the response did not fill me with hope. I'm pleased to hear that Baroness Cumberledge has taken on the new role of looking at hormone pregnancy tests, sodium valproate and medical mesh. But actually, when she sought to give seek evidence, she didn't include Scotland. I've now written to her and that has been rectified, but it is important, I think, as well to remember all of the devolved nations of the UK and make sure that they are appropriately included. Now, we know what the academic studies have shown, and the work of Carl Hennigan and Neil Vargason has been exceptional, but there is now new evidence, and we should be making sure that that is included in any future plans and reviews. And I think what we need to hear from the Minister is an acknowledgement of the power of the views across the chamber, across the House, on both places, both houses, and the very serious impact that this has had on people's lives. How many parents need to die not knowing what happened to their children because of a pill that they took? And these are women. You know, these are women who were, you know, as the Right Honourable gentleman for Hemel Hempstead said, you know, these were women who believed they were in the care of the NHS, that they were being given something that would be properly medically checked, and that they would not be put in danger. They were quite simply put in danger. The health of their unborn children were put in danger. Their health was put in danger. Let's not forget, many women miscarried. There are many children that weren't born because they took this drug. This was a drug that was being used in Germany as an abortive and used in another country as a pregnancy test. I mean, it does not take an expert to work out that that is quite simply absolutely wrong. So we have a choice and we have an opportunity. And there is a very powerful body of medical evidence that needs to be properly looked at. The government also needs to look very carefully and take a long, hard look in the mirror at why the expert working group failed so badly, why its terms of reference changed partway through. It needs to make sure that never happens again, and it needs to make sure that the victims of Primados, my constituent and everybody's constituents here today, never have to go through any more pain and suffering and that they will get their questions answered, that they will get the truth, that they will get justice. Compensation, yes, absolutely. But what they really want is an apology and an acknowledgement. And as the Right Honourable Member for Hemel Hempstead absolutely said, when something goes wrong, the right thing to do is put your hands up and say, do you know what? We got this wrong. And it is about time that that happened. And I hope that the Minister and her government will now finally do the right thing.
Gareth.